I was just trying to remember back
All right, so the last section, we're going to talk about is transition. So I kind of left this last session to be a little bit more drill based, to give you guys some ideas for drills. I'm assuming you guys know what I mean by transition. Obviously, it's whenever the ball moves from offense to defense or defense to offense. The one skill, I know someone asked me about something that when they come to the high school, something that is kind of glaringly obvious from youth to high school. And the first thing that jumps out to me is the redefend. Try as coaches to really, like accentuate the redefend. It's so important. It's so important not only for, the girls to be out there and everybody working hard. It kind of goes back to the whole idea of defense and it falling on the goalie. Everybody should be out there redefending. Just because it passes you and, oh, my girl's away, I don't just stand there and watch the ball. The attack should be redefending all the way to the opposite restraining line. And you guys really should hold them accountable to that. Hold them accountable all the way to that restraining line. And, you can get into the ideas of the redefend or rides. I don't know if you guys just do man-to-man kind of stuff. I mean, obviously there's different zones you can put in. There's a lot of different places you can go with a redefend. For me, for youth, and even at the high school, if everybody just really makes sure they mark up and try to slow the ball down. It saves your middies' legs. It allows your defense to get set up. Okay, it takes away fast break drills, which is what we're gonna talk a lot about, fast break and slow break drills coming up. But the redefend is really important. And also, it's one of those areas where you can also hold attackers accountable. Okay, attackers like to, they're the ones that get all the glory. They get to score all the goals. Everybody high fives them. Okay, so it's an area also that you can really make them accountable. And if they want to play at the next level, they're going to have to redefend. Okay, the redefend is part of the game moving forward. So it's a good thing to definitely make sure that you're focusing on for the attack. Another part of transition, it's important to practice the moving from defense to offense and making sure that the attack is redefending hard. The other thing you really want to make sure you're working on, and it's an unfortunate thing for defense, but it's a necessary evil, is making sure that you're working on all sorts of different player down situations, okay? Because it happens all the time, all over the field. And then the other thing that I would say, and this is another thing that kind of comes up when people come up to the high school, and it goes back to when we talked about kind of, the different levels of youth players, and sometimes, like, if you have a girl that's just really, really fast and can run by everybody. But remember, middies are defensive. It's a defensive position. Okay, middies play defense. They're not attackers. Okay, you have 4 attackers down low. All right, those middies, they come into your offense and they should be a part of your offense, but they also should be back on defense. And primarily, if you can get them to remind themselves that they are defenders first. Okay, so when there's transition, they are sprinting back on defense, and then they're saving their lungs and their legs and jogging back on offense. All right, so remind them that that's where a lot of the game breaks down, is because middies can't get back. And if middies are sprinting to get ahead of the ball all the time, that's an attacker's job. Okay? Remind them that they should be saving their legs, getting in on offense, and sprinting back on defense, because that's when their team needs them. Okay? So remember, defense is midi is a defensive position. So quickly, and we could do a whole 45 minutes on this, but the draw. I know the draw is always one of those things that, it's becoming more and more specialized as you get up in different kinds of levels. But the draw is something that there's a lot of tips for the draw. I mean, you can find a million Instagram videos on the draw and whatever. But I would say that the things that you should really be teaching at your level on the draw is, first of all, if you happen to have someone who is very good at the draw, that's great, good for you. But other than that, I would make sure that lots of girls are taking the draw. Don't make it so that it's one girl gets the draw, gets the draw, gets it, runs down and scores. Okay? If you have someone who gets the draw all the time, make sure you're encouraging them to pass, move the ball, so it's not just a foot race the whole game. Some technical things about the draw is, do we have a kind of stick there? Is the first things that you want to practice, and some players want to take it righty, some players want to take it lefty. If you're taking it lefty, you're pulling. If you're taking it righty, primarily you're pushing, okay? Some kids, they only want to do it righty. Other kids, righties, feel more comfortable lefty pulling. But the thing that I would say is the things that you can practice, that you can work on. The first thing is timing with your whistle, okay? And it's just reaction time. So if you're sitting there as a coach, their eyes should be on you. They should be anticipating the whistle. You're blowing the whistle, and they're just working on their reaction time. As simple as that, okay? It's wrist strength. It's reaction time. It's muscle memory. It's all of that. And you can have them do it lefty or righty if they do both. A technical part of the draw, and I'm a righty, but I always would take it lefty, is that you want to, what they call, dig into the draw. So there's a lot of talk about like revving and trying to get the ball in the back of your stick. That's a really good, like refs look for that. If you try to move before, it's going to get called. But what you want to do is as the sticks are up, you want to dig in with your bottom hand. So you should be digging in like this, which is what's forcing automatically when you dig and there's another stick there, look what your stick does. Okay, it turns and you should get the ball in the back of your stick and then you go. Okay, or here you dig and push. So think about, you're here on that whistle, okay, you dig in with this bottom arm, okay, bottom arm, and then you're going up. Okay, so you can teach that dig, that's one way to teach kind of a more technical way to do the draw. The other thing is tracking the ball. Okay, one of the things I notice a lot with girls is they take the draw and then they're like, oh my gosh, where'd it go? You know? So you can work on that tracking. You can work on that tracking by having their back to you, and then you turn around and you're throwing balls up to them and they have to track it. Okay, because as they're taking that draw, they should be going up and immediately looking where the ball is. Okay, the ball should get tracked immediately. And there's a lot of different ways to work on those tracking skills. You can even do it off of a wall. Have their back to you, do it off of a wall, and they have to go up and try to find the ball. And those are little things. If you take the girls who take the draw apart, set them apart, they can work on that stuff together too, throwing the ball to each other and tracking it in the air. Boxing out, okay? I mean, this is an essential fundamental in ground balls. It's also essential on the circle, okay? Making sure that you box out your girl. So as I'm watching the ball go up, if I'm the center girl, okay, if I'm who's taking the draw, and I see the ball going up, I see it's here, I'm going to step in front, box out, and go up and go for that ball. Okay? So teaching that box out, both on the circle and the person who's doing the ball. Other than that, there's a lot. I mean, the draw for me is always about hustle. It's always about heart. It's always about grit. I mean, there's things that you can, if you're fortunate enough to have someone who's a real draw specialist who can draw to themselves, then you're really lucky. Otherwise, typically it's going out to the circle, it's going to be on the ground, and it's about who can get there faster. Ground balls, grit, hustle, desire, all of those things are really important to stress on the draw. So I don't want to get too far into specifics on the draw, but do you guys have any questions? Other things to add to it?
Just basic, like teaching 7th, 8th grade, thinking about going into high school, do you prefer them diagonally on the circle, or would you rather, like, totally depends who's taking the draw? I mean, the 2 other middies. And then also, do you teach your middies to just follow the other team sometimes if they're stacking there too?
So diagonally meaning
I'm taking the draw, right? I have one of my middies over here and one over here.
Yep.
Ideally, I'm trying to pull or push
Yep.
to one of them or to myself.
Yep.
Just thinking about, obviously, the strategy of it, but also them learning to be not necessarily in a place that's comfortable.
Right, so I think for those things, I mean, if you notice that a draw is going to the same place, talking to them about having the autonomy on the field to be able to move and not have to go to the same spot in the circle every time. Like even in the high school game, we'll notice the draw is going to the same place every time, and we have to tell our middies to move. It's like, no, come on, like you got to be thinking ahead there. So you guys can give them that autonomy as well, because sometimes it is, and then everyone will move to where they think it's going, and it'll go in the other direction. So I don't know if that answers your
No,
question.
that's great. Thank you. And then one more. This definitely, I would say, for the majority, probably over the head. But do you think about switching middies after the draw, like that, or not even close?
So we do sometimes. I mean,
Okay.
it depends. If you guys are at a point where you have like a draw unit that goes out that's really scrappy with ground balls, and we had a couple girls last year that just like they were really, really good at ground balls, and if we needed draws, we'd send them out, and then hopefully we got possession and they came right off the field, and we'd put either other middies or other attack players on. So we play with that a lot. I would say at your level, that's also another really good way to get girls on the field. You know, I mean, it's a good way to get, and if they come up with that ground ball, man, they are fired up. Like, they just got possession for their team. So it's not a bad strategy if you have a lot of girls too, to try to get some different people on the draw. You hope they're good defenders if you lose it, because they're going back on D. So that's the only thing to think about. But yeah, certainly. I mean, we do a lot of subbing, transition subbing from offense to defense, depending on the opponent and depending on kind of matchups. But I don't know that you guys would do a whole lot of that. I don't know if you would. But all right. So transition drills. Do you guys want to talk specifics of transition, or would you rather at this point just get some drills that will help with kind of what we talked about before, like the attackers in the mid, the skill positions are kind of doing their warm up, and then you get into typically how we run a practice is then we get into transition type drills that incorporate offense, defense, and the goalie, and then we get into more of our settled 7-on-7, or our 8-meter work. So we can go over some transition drills. The first drill that we use a lot, which is this is a 5v4 flow drill. And again, a lot of the transition drills that we use are player down. Because typically in defensive transition, you're player down, right? Somebody got beat, maybe someone got fouled, someone fell down, whatever it may be. So constantly reacting to those situations. Also, so a lot of times off of a draw, something like that, you could be player up. Okay, so we do a lot of uneven situations, and I think they're really good to help girls understand different situations and how to react to different situations. So this is the 5v4 flow drill. The ball starts here, she passes there, and then she passes there, this defender drops. So it's just zigzag passing, okay? And after every person passes, they come in, okay? So everyone drops in appropriately, and then this last person has the ball, and this last person comes in. So where you want your players to go, and this is where all the teaching comes in, and this is where it's important for you guys to kind of think about the strategy you want. Do you guys know what I mean by a slow break? Does everybody know that term and understand that term? No, thank you. Okay, so we know what a fast break is, right? We get the ball ahead, there's an uneven situation, 2v1, 3v2, something like that. That's a fast break. A slow break is a situation where the ball is ahead, but we don't necessarily have numbers here that we can go ahead with like a 3v2 or a 2v1, but we know we have people coming, filling in, okay? And we can hit it back up top, and then we have uneven up there. So that's a slow break. So it's still an uneven situation, but it's not as obvious, or it's not as like a 3v2 or a 2v1 or something like that. So it might be an even 3v3, and then we have a fourth person coming in, and that's the slow break, and we try to hit that trail person coming in. All right? So that's the idea of a slow break. But the reason why this drill I think is so effective is, first of all, this passing should be really quick. It should almost be quick sticks, okay, if they can, but at least like at the very minimum, like 1 to 2 cradles max, okay? So this passing pattern, that diagonal passing pattern, is very, very fast. All right, and then everybody else needs to be filling in. So this is where the transition piece comes, and this is where you guys teaching whatever kind of transition you want, I'll give you the transition that I prefer. The biggest thing about transition is keeping wide, keeping the field really big, and making, especially when you're in a man-up situation, making all of those defensive slides have to be really big and long, so that you're creating a lot more scoring opportunities for yourself. So the first person who drops in, maybe you'd send them down to X, okay? This next person might come here. This person, we don't want to clog the middle, right? We don't want to keep that there. So maybe this person would come down and be at this X. This person here would come there. So there's your 4, and your defenders would probably be here, here, 1, 2, 3, here, here. And this person, as they come in, so you can practice 2 different scenarios. They can come in here to the middle, okay, and now you're going to have a typical kind of fast break, right? Because you can have a 5v4. So you can work the ball quickly through here and work on your typical 5v4. Another opportunity to work on your slow break, okay, is to have this person come here and send the ball either low or here, okay, as this person's still running, all right? And this is going to create the defense having to either shift to ball, okay, and maybe then a pass back here for a scoring opportunity, which is the slow break. All right, does that make sense? The fast break versus the slow break? Okay, and it's important to practice both of those and for them to understand the difference. Because a lot of times kids, you'll see kids that are going, it's a 3v3 and they think they've got it. It's like, no, just control the ball, keep the ball. The open people are coming. You know, the open people are coming, and it's usually those middies that are filling in, okay? So that's why this drill, I think, is very game-like, because you get your 4 kind of settled attackers coming in, and then you have like a midi that would be coming in later. You can also make it a 6v5, you can make it a 6v4. You can always play around with numbers to make any kind of situation that you think you want the girls to understand. So that's the flow drill, and then, you know, we put all the balls to the other side and do it from the other side, but that's really more just to work on their right-handed and left-handed stuff.
Sorry, how do you initiate that one? Sorry.
It starts like group of balls start here, and this person starts with it.
Yep.
And then if you move the balls over here, that person starts with it. So just person on the far left or far right starts with it.
So you pass it down to the defense and they pop it back up to the offense?
Yep, so these guys are at like the 50.
Yep.
These guys would be at the 45. They're
Okay.
super close.
Okay.
And they're just facing that.
Yep, they're just facing each other. So it's literally a diagonal pass.
So after you pass it.
After you pass it, you go to your spot.
Okay.
And then
The attackers and the defenders.
Yep, and then the defender goes to their spot. This attacker fills here. This attacker would come down and fill here. This attacker fills here.
Thanks.
And they
So,
come in.
and defensively, you're not, you are telling the defenders to go to a spot. You're not telling them to freewheel it wherever they want.
Right, so we didn't do that. We ran out of time on defense. So this would be the spot you want them to be in. You want them to be in a square in this situation when you have 4 defenders, okay?
Yep.
Because they want to be, all of their slides should be like this, okay? You never slide across. I'm not going to draw it because then I'll have to erase it. You never slide across. So if the ball comes here, all right, say this person comes in and then offensively, you have a choice when you have 5. You can be 5 out, we call it house, because it looks like a house, or they can be in the middle like a dice. So you can be in house or you can be in dice. We prefer house just because it keeps things bigger and wider. But some people like to post someone up in the middle as well. So you can kind of figure out what you want to do if you have 5. Okay, so the 4 defenders here, they're talking, they're screaming. I got 2, I got hopefully not 3, but they're talking to each other there. If the ball is here, this person's on ball, this person is adjacent, so they have to stay on, and this person here wants to cover 2 because this person has to stay here. Okay, so we've got that figured out. Like that, even though that's technically adjacent, these 2 are more dangerous. Okay, so it's important that you guys, these are the situations that we go over time and time and time again. Okay, because they come up all the time. But the basic idea of the way the slides would work is that if the ball is here, you want to make sure you're covering your adjacents, okay? So we're going to get rid of this, and we're going to keep that person there for now. So you're going to cover your adjacents. So this person's covered, and this person has 2, okay? If the ball goes over here, okay, this person, oh wait, we have 4. I don't want 4, do I? No, it's fine, we can keep 4. If the ball goes over here, okay, this person is on ball, this person stays, and this person slides in to have 2 there. all right? Say the ball skips down here. This person stays, this person stays, this person would stay, and this person would stay in the middle there. But you always want to be sliding this way, okay? Like they call it a U, not an X, all right? So wherever your U is, like here's your U, or here's your U, or here's your U, okay? I guess it's a square, but you know what I mean, on the U.
Can I just say one thing?
Yeah.
I think what this is, and I think we hear a lot at the youth level, is that what are happening is that it is this fast break situation, and the defenders, if you have your like typical low defenders that are watching the play come down, they're sliding, so the defender's sliding up to meet the ball, and then this person is wide open on the crease, and that's a really easy goal. So I know that's what like we've heard in the Newburyport at the 5, 6, and 7, 8 level. It's like we got blown out today because every single time they came down the field, my defender slid up, they passed the ball over the top, and they rolled the crease and they scored. So what we're trying to teach you in this is how to get the defenders and the middies in the correct position so you can eliminate that goal. So whoever said, do you want the defenders to go to a certain spot or do you want them to just freelance? You really want to like hone in that we are working on an 8-meter defense where people do have spots. So by keeping these girls low and having those middies, like Kat talked about before, getting back as fast as they can, it allows the low defenders to stay low, and it has the middies drop in so that they can cover the top. Your low defenders are covering the low, and then you start to slide. But as soon as you have that low defender slide up, that's such an easy pass and such an easy goal. So this would be at the youth level trying to combat that problem, which I feel like probably a lot of teams do have.
And that's on here, you guys can read it, but that's another, like when we talked about our defensive rules, that's a defensive rule. You never slide up without a slide. So if the ball's coming here and this person has to go, and this is another one that girls never know when they come to the high school, is the cross crease slide. Okay, the slide that goes across the crease. So if this person's coming down with the ball, this person has to go stop ball, there's your slide. Okay?
Because this pass is really hard.
That's a really hard pass. And remember, you have someone here and you have someone here. Okay? So you would leave this person because she's furthest from ball, slide up, but you never do it without knowing you have a slide. This person comes across the crease to take that, and this person kind of comes down and has 2 right there.
And if you had the ball up top, right in the middle, how would you split that?
So if you have the ball right up in the middle, where are they passing it? Because this person would be right on ball.
Yep.
This person would kind of have to hedge, right? Because you don't want to, like, who's more dangerous here? You have to kind of decide who's more dangerous, this person or this person. I always pick the crease people. Okay, I'm sorry if I went back to you guys. So you would have to hedge a little bit here to this, because realistically, if this person passes here, what can this person do? Just go right across and grab them. So that's not a dangerous pass at all defensively. What you don't want to do is leave this guy open or this guy open, okay? And that's when it gets really important to have this slide across the crease.
And then if the ball is up top, that goes back to what we talked about with that defensive body positioning. If you know that this player is straddling 2, then you want to force the ball this direction where you know you have help. So if I'm playing defense right at the top, I'm going to know where my help is, which side is overloaded with defenders, which side is off with a defender, and I'm going to try to force the pass to my help. So then you're taking this option away. So you want to set these defenders up with their body position ahead of the play so they know where they're forcing that pass, and that's going to allow for the slides to be easier and for the help defense to be there.
Another variation to this is adding in a trailing midi so that you can make it even, okay? Because again, all the things we talk about, like, you know, that crease defense, 5 seconds, rewarding the defense. If the defense holds them on this for 3, 4, 5 seconds, in real life, they're going to have a midi coming back, and it's going to be even. So you can create those scenarios by just holding another defender out here, like for 5 seconds. You can count and then release them, and then as they're coming in, everyone's telling them where to go, okay? So you don't have to always be uneven for an entire drill. You can do it uneven for a little bit and then add in a trailing defender to make it so that, you know, the defense doesn't always have to play man down. And if they do their job, that's pretty realistic that a midi would end up coming in anyway. All right, I have a lot more drills that you guys can read and hopefully understand, but I think we're only going to get to like one or two more. So I'm not going to go over that one. That's really self-explanatory. Okay, one of our favorite drills, and this is the one I talked about before. Okay, we call this the add-in drill. All right, and the way this is a great drill for offensive IQ and defensive strategy, learning how to slide and where to slide and what adjacents do and other people, okay? So it starts with 2 lines, and you can either, sometimes we do it where it's just offense versus defense and the middies switch, or you can just do it like red and white, and they're offense for a while, then they become offense for a while. Like, you can change it however you want if you don't want to be specific for positions. So it starts off with a 2v1. So say this line right now is attack, okay? Starts off with a 2v1, and the coach just kind of tosses the balls in. It's not, sometimes you can do ground balls if you want to, but the coach is here with a bunch of balls. And you starts with a 2v1, 1 ball, it has to be 1 pass, and it just goes from a 2v1. Immediately after a shot, we play it really fast. Afterwards, I'll explain, you can do it slow. We play it really fast-paced. So after there's a 2v1, after there's a shot or a dropped ball or whatever it is, you kick the ball out of the way and you go to a next ball. So now a new person comes in and a new defender comes in, and it becomes a 3v2. Okay, and you play that out, and then the fourth ball becomes a 4v3. Okay? All right, so, and then you keep adding it into 5v4 until it's 5v5 even. So you just keep adding balls till it becomes even. Some points to emphasize here, all right? And I think all of you guys should know this. All of the shapes that the offense wants to be in when you guys are man up. When it's a 3v2, you should be in a triangle, right? 4v3, you should be in a square, box, rectangle, some kind of parallelogram. When it's a 5v4, again, you can be in the house shape or the dice, okay? We prefer the house just because it's bigger and open. But if you have like a 6-foot person and they love to play attack, post them up in the middle. That's great. We haven't had that in a bunch of years. So your points of emphasis on this are reminding them to keep all those shapes. So when the attack is coming in, okay, if it starts here with a 2v1, all right, and then the third person comes in, they shouldn't be over here. Okay, make sure you're recognizing maybe this person moves down to make room for them. Okay, and then these guys would shift. All right. Now, why did I put it here and not there?
Most dangerous person.
Right, and if the ball gets moved to there, this person can easily get over, right? Okay, and if it goes back, this person's there in case they come. So telling them where to go is really important. I mean, we still have to do it a lot, and we do this drill all the time. Telling them where to go, giving them different situations, explaining to them, the offense pretty much gets the shape, but defense sometimes will run into the wrong side. It's anticipate that defender coming and make room for them. You go get the girl who's furthest away and allow her, since she's coming in the top, to get this girl. So making sure you're going through, this is a very good drill too. Not only is it really fast-paced and allows for great game IQ for offensive players, for sure, because they are always going in a specific shape. The defense is always there. They know where the defense is going, and they should be 1 pass ahead every time. All right, because they know they're in a triangle, they know where the defense is. They know they're in a rectangle, they know where the defense is. They know they're in a house. So it's a really good way to get passing increased, but also increase IQ. Defensively, this is where all of your slides are coming in. This is where all of your adjacent people, you're talking. Meredith, I got two, okay, I'm coming in, okay, take her. I got 2 over here. I mean, there's lots, because you're always man down until the end. So you have 4 situations, very different, between 2v1 and 5v4, that give you all different situations to tell for your defense to work out different situations. So that's a fan, and the girls love this one. You can also play it if it's a little too fast for your group. I do it with 5th and 6th graders too, and to slow it down, we play it out. So we don't, if the ball drops, whoever gets the ground ball, you know, if the attack gets the ground ball, you keep playing. So you don't have to do it where the ball's dead immediately and it's a new ball. You can play it out so that it slows it down a little bit more and gives the offense a little bit more time to, you know, to work the ball around, gives the defense a little bit more time to work on their slides. And then if the defense gets it, usually they have to clear it out to the 30 or something like that.
So just a suggestion for the younger players, because this is great high school, and I've seen you do it in warm-ups and such, and it's great. I'm thinking about my 7th and 8th graders. I think it'll take, particularly at the beginning of the season, it's gonna take them a while to build to, you know, a 5v4 and get all of the concepts that you've just described. So repeating 2v1, 3v2 for a while before you go to 4v3, 5v4.
I just worked with a group this winter who were all brand new beginners. Like, some of them had never picked a stick. One girl came with one of those sticks, like with the little ball, the fiddle stick. I was like, no, we don't use those. So, I mean, they were new beginners, and they were doing this drill really pretty well. I mean, there were a lot of drop balls, but they were conceptually going to the right spaces pretty quickly. I would say like maybe 5 times. So it's something that is, if you can, you know, just keep drilling it in. It's like you said though, like the 3v2, the 2v1, those concepts. But all of that is what happens on the bigger field. So it's important to really work those concepts. Let's see. I mean, another thing that we do, which is a lot of fun that I do, because I coach high school, but I also coach a lot of younger grades too, is continuous drills. And I have it written down, so if you guys, you know, you can pay attention, you know, you can read it on there if you don't remember how we talk about it. But I know a lot of times fields are small, especially at the beginning. You might only get like a third of a field or not even a half a field. Go widthwise. You can go widthwise and play continuous games. I don't know how many of you guys ever played basketball. We used to call it cutthroat. But you just play continuous 3v3v3, continuous 3v2, and you use outlet passes. I explained them on here, so they should come through okay. But those are really good ways to incorporate even man up, man down in a transition type of setting across the field. So continuous drills are really beneficial for the middle school age group as well. And once they understand the rules of it, they do really well with it, and they're good drills. All right, the last drill I'm gonna do, and then we'll be done. And this is a fun one, and I think this is one that the girls will like. So my arcs and fans are getting worse. So this is a 3v2 to a 4v3. All right, so let's say you have like, and anyone is anything. All right, you don't just make them, it doesn't matter what position you are, just throw sticks left and right, and that team's red and this team is white, okay? So you have 3v2. So offense, sorry, these guys are on defense. These guys are on offense. So let's say 3v2, and there's the goalie. Another big stick, all right. So 3v2 into a 4v3. So you play out the 3v2. If there's a shot, a goal, a turnover, whatever, the goalie passes up high, and these guys flip-flop immediately, and it becomes a 4v3. Okay? So then the defense, so you have your 4, they break out, the ball's up here, and now these guys have a 4v3. Okay? And it just keeps going back and forth. Okay, so new line up there, and then you can change whoever X's start and O's are up here so that you can change who's coming in with the outlet on the 4v3. All right? So that's a fun one. Do you guys understand that one? Questions? No? That's a fun one, and it's that's a good one to keep score on. All right? That's a good one to keep score on. Goalies involved. Good goalie clear stuff. But yeah, I think that's it. I'm seeing a lot of yawns. So I think this has been a long lot of lacrosse. I thought we were gonna have like a room where I could bring kids to demonstrate, but no, a lot of talking. Sorry about that.
Great.
So you guys will get hard copies of all this stuff tomorrow, and hopefully learn
Is it
something.
being videoed? Is that
Yes.
videoed?
I really
Yeah,
hope
this
so.
will be
Are we gonna have access to that video?
Yes.
We will, awesome.
Everybody, there are two tables that are downstairs in the lobby that you came in. One is A through J, and one is K through W with your badges. We're going to queue up all of the compliance stuff and all that.
Thank you very much. I know. He's home. Yeah, it was.
Everyone called Callie.
All right. See you.
So Cece's getting her comeuppance.
Yes,
She's getting
it's so funny. But yeah,
Okay.
I even told Mike Amelia, I was like,
My expense is just.
instead of that, he was like,
Yeah.
But I said she'll be on the That's so funny.
Good. Callie mentioned she just started. She's getting her student of the
Yeah.
So, when I was
I know. So who are you
one of them goes,
so I'm coaching with Newburyport
as soon as it falls, I get down, it goes drop back, so what is
I think for the younger, I mean, I agree with you for the younger kids.
Unfortunately, I'm covering just
Yeah.
What is the same thing with the text? If you have a team that gets shown, your text is
Right.
you know, both sides come up on the line.
Yeah, I think are the attackers,
So I know.
I think that's fair. If you have the other team's attackers are hanging out down here, I just think it's risky to have that.